finding the inverse of this function, there are some steps you need to follow to solve this question. So, and these are the steps. First, the first step here to follow to solve this question, the first step, you change f of x, okay, to y. Change f of x to y, okay. Then step 2, you have to switch the position of y to x, and then x to y. All right, the first step, change f of x to y. All right, then switch the position of y to x and then x to y, okay. Then thirdly, you make y the subject, right, the subject formula, make y the subject formula. All right, so after making y the subject, then step 4, now replace you have to replace y with f of x inverse. All right, and that will give you the inverse function of any function. So these are the steps to follow to solve to solve inverse function. So the first step here is to change f of x to y. All right, after changing f of x to y, the second step is to switch the position of x to x and then x to y. All right, then after switching the position of y to x and x to y, then make y the subject formula and then replace y with f of x inverse. So let's start. Okay, let's start solving. Okay, so solution I will now set f of x to be equal to y. All right, so where I see f of x, I will now write y. So y is equal to 7x plus 2. Okay, so the next step is to do what? Is to change the position of y to x and x to y. So where I see y, I'll write x, and where I see x, I'll write y plus 2. Okay, then after switching their position, the next step is to make y the subject formula. In making y the subject here, I will move 2 to the other side of this equation. So in trying to move 2 to the other side of this equation, once it is having positive sign, it has to change sign to plus to minus 2. So I want to have x minus 2 is equal to 7x. So for me to make only y the subject formula, I will need to divide both sides by 7. Okay, so I will divide both sides by 7. So 7 will take care of 7. I want to have that y is equal to x minus 2 all over 7. So the next step is to replace y as what? I will now replace y as f of x inverse. All right, and that will be x minus 2 all over 7. So that is just how to solve uh a function. So let's solve another example. Assuming you have if given that f of x is equal to x all over 5, x all over 5 plus 1. Okay, calculate f of x, calculate f of x inverse. Okay, so the question is given here. So for us to do, as I explained before, the first step to do is to change the position of to replace this with y, and I will replace it. So I will now have that x all over 5 plus 1. As a first step, I will represent f of x with y. So after representing f of x with 1, The next step here is to do what? Is to switch the position of y to x, and I'll switch the position of x to y. So here I will have x is equal to y all over 5 plus 1. Okay, so after doing that, the next step here is to the next step is to make y the subject formula. So let's continue here. Okay, let's continue here. So x we have x is equal to y all over 5 plus 1. And to make y the subject formula here, what I will do first, I will try to move 1. I will move 1 to the other side of the equation. So if I try to move 1 here, it's having positive sign. The sign changed to minus 1. I will x minus 1 is equal to y all over 5. So I want to make y the subject formula. I will multiply y for x. I will multiply 5 from both sides of the equation. So in multiplying that, 5 will cancel 5. I'll have that y is equal to 5 bracket open x minus 1. Okay, so now I will now replace y with f of x inverse. Okay, so that will be this minus 1. So that will be the final answer for that. So let's solve the final example. The one, if assuming you have a question in form of a quadratic, assuming you have a question like this, f of x squared plus 4, and you're asked to find the inverse of this function here. So in doing that, it's just simple. You are going to represent f of x with y, as I explained before. So I will now have x. I will now have y is equal to. I will now say sorry. F of x is equal to y. And after doing that, I will now say y is equal to x squared plus 4. So step 3 is to switch their position. Where I see y, I write x. Where I see x, I write y. I will now have x is equal to y squared plus 4. So I'll try to make y the subject. So I'll move x minus 4 is equal to y squared. So how will I make y the subject formula here? I will take the square root from both sides of the equation. So square remove square root. Now I have that y is equal to square root of x minus 4. Okay, so in doing that I'll have I will now replace y. I'll replace y with f of x inverse. Okay, so I now have that f of x inverse is square root of x minus 4. So that would be the inverse function. Okay, so guys, if you understand what I have explained, please turn on the notification bell and subscribe to my channel so that you can follow more of this. So thank you, bye.